good. Okay.
Hello everyone and welcome back to The Verdict, brought to you by Freddie Hirsch and We Buy Cars. It's been an electrifying series of international rugby between South Africa and Ireland, and now we move to Portugal. The South African coaches and selectors deciding to give a couple of guys opportunities, blood some new players, and see what the future of South African rugby looks like. Against Portugal, an up-and-coming team in international rugby as well. We saw what they did at the Rugby World Cup, and they took on the four-time Rugby World Cup champions, South Africa, in Bloemfontein. Always good fun in Bloemfontein. Shimmy, you know Bloemfontein very well.
Yeah, great place. Great environment, I must say, John. Look, when you saw the crowd there, good vibe, fantastic game. Look, entertaining game, something new for us. We probably, before this, we didn't know any of the Portuguese players. Now we do, we knew a couple of them, but either way, it was a Springbok test match, and nice to see a lot of guys getting their first test caps also.
A drawn series against Ireland, Scala. Then we moved to Portugal again. I think the focus very different. And 2 minutes into the game, we saw a red card. A lot of people,
What a start.
A lot of people saying that they kind of had flashbacks of Japan. Did you ever get the sense that Portugal could do a Japan or South Africa?
No, but
I kind of remember that game pretty well.
I can't remember what happened in Brighton. I've wiped that part of my career out. I can't remember that 86 minutes, whatever. That's gone. But like when they scored that try and we got the red card, all of a sudden you stand up and notice it. Like we obviously thought, like for me, Andre Esterhuis and the Agent of Chaos was pivotal to the Bok performance, because I thought like he'll be destructive. Him Lekonia, playing off the back of Mani Lebok, that we know is quite direct on attack. But yeah, I mean, how good was Portugal in phases of this game? They want to play rugby. They couldn't handle the physicality. And if anything, in that situation, certain players came to the fore, because playing with a man down, certain players had to work harder. Jason Dixon's work rate was outstanding on the weekend. So, like I think in hindsight, probably a good thing. Like if we had 15 men on the field, the full 23, didn't get the yellow cards of Kirtley and Koen Horn, I think we probably would have put 80, 90 points past them. But yeah, it was a nice exposure. Simao Bento, fullback, played lovely. Paulo dos Santos scored a couple.
There we go. Those are the names.
But Shim, so you look at this game, very, context
Paulo
very,
dos Santos.
very different
Los Lobos.
to the you're Portuguese fluent now. The context to this game very different, and I suppose the goals in this game very different for both these teams. How do you approach it, and what, in your opinion, what did success look like for the Boks? What did success look like for Portugal in this game, and did they achieve it, do you think?
I think I'll start with Portugal. What I like about them is they've got a clear identity in the way they want to play. You saw a Portuguese team that looks like they're having fun when they want to be out there. They play with a certain freedom, some good skills, some good offloading, forwards that work pretty hard. They sort of held us in the first couple of scrums and it fell apart. So you got to understand what Portuguese rugby was about there. There is a certain identity that you enjoy about it. I think for the Springboks, a cohesive performance. I think it was a performance where, the guys that worked hard would be rewarded rather than individual X factor. Obviously execution is a big thing that's spoken about. But then, sometimes you have to adapt, and that's what the Springbok team had to do. Andre Esterhuis, and you mentioned Schalk, is such a pivotal role. He would have got the power on the back line, he gets you over the game line, then it makes it easier for the rest of the team to fire. And then that falls out the plan with 2 minutes into the game. You have to adapt. And I thought it took a while. It was a bit, unstructured, a bit iffy at times, but once they got it going together, they didn't lose their coolness, and they kept going.
So unlucky for Andre. Like that's, for me, the yellow card's probably the right call. I think that it goes up to a red card. I don't think I saw that coming. We'll go through it in detail. Like he dipped. Head was his bad technique from him. Head was on the wrong side, which eventually caused their head-on-head collision. hit chest on shoulder first.
Yeah.
After that, actually, defensively, we got skimmed a couple of times because we kept on going hard, John. We still kept on having that line speed. And in the second half, you could see us going for softer shoulders. Also, nothing stops the box if that happens again, and our scrum's going really well, having 7 guys in the scrum, getting your loose foot to go defend at number 10 or 12 or wherever he's more comfortable, or wing. But yeah, like it took us a while to get through it. And then I think certain individuals started to stand out. Like second half, you think of Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu's performance. Again, so exciting, so good. But Apelele Fassi's attacking flair in the first half, a little goose around, a little chip kick to Kurtley Arendse. And then nothing against the old guys. Apelele Makazole Mapimpi going past Jean, scored a hat-trick. I saw you going further and further down. You're 27. How many tries he scored?
Guys, I'm still top 5, eh?
Yeah.
He's still top 5. Not for long.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. But
He's getting angry.
I might have to make a comeback. The South African performance, then, you said cohesive, but was it more down to actually providing the opportunities to these youngsters to see what they can do, to start building for the future, to know, because let's be fair and honest here, a lot of these, not a lot of these guys that played in the 23 on the weekend will claim a starting spot for the Boks, okay? If everyone is fit.
Even a squad on the way to Australia.
But they will come into contention in the next 4-year period up until the next World Cup. So was that rather the focus to see, okay, we're throwing you in here, seeing whether you can make that step up, and they were tested even more so because of the red card very early on in the game. Then suddenly you need to you're thrown into the deep end. You need to swim.
Yeah, look, it's a combination of things, John. I think it's for probably a guy. I mean, I'll go through Thomas Tuchoi. Had a great season for Bath. For tight forwards, it's a lot harder when you take a 2-3 week or let's say a month period off, and then you got to all of a sudden running, drive that intensity. They generally take a lot longer to get going. Jan Hendrik Wessels at loose head. I thought in the loose he was pretty good. Yeah. He's generally played at hooker. He hasn't scrummed at loose head. So to adapt to the other side is quite a big ask. So I think everybody's got different areas to sort of push in terms of that. Probably some of them are a bit lower down the pecking order. So out of that whole group that played, there'll be some guys that will be they're definitely going to Australia. There'll be other guys, Skylar, that will be pretty nervous in terms of are they going to make it on the plane to obviously for the rugby championship.
I think this team got announced by my understanding, quite a while back. Everyone knew that they're going to play this game, but there's obviously you can pick holes in any team. But like Jan Hendrik Wessels at Lucid, is he
the future there?
Is he the future at Lucid? His work rate was amazing. It's like having 2 hookers on the field. Johan Grobelaar's been in the mix for a long, long time. Andre Venter, I think, got rewarded for a good season at the Stormers. But then we also got to look at locks. Ruan Venter was covering lock off the bench. We think, like obviously we've got a crisis at lock. You've got John Klein, who's out, hasn't played for months of the whole year. Franco Mustard broke his leg. Luit, we don't know the state of where Luit is. So we've got to fill in there somewhere. Was it prudent enough for us to play with the guys we played? Ergie Snyman was man of the match. We all know his offloading skills. The go-go gadget arm was going in tight spaces on the gain line. He was exceptional. But do we need it to blood someone else there? Is it a Ruben van Heerden? Is it getting a JD Schikkeling back in the mix? Ruan Nokia from the Bulls. So I think that's the questions that you've got to ask about the team. But there's nothing about the performance and the effort, because that effort had to come going down to 14 men.
Yeah. It needed to be there. Now, we talk about guys going to Australia, not going to Australia. We do know that Portugal is not going to Australia. And before we actually get into more analysis of the Bok game and some of the individuals making their debuts, etc., let's celebrate Portuguese rugby and what they achieved on the weekend, scoring 3 tries against South Africa. They won that game against Fiji at the World Cup. And I think the brand of rugby that they played, this is now the last try that they scored by Jose Madeira. And what a great start. There we go. But how awesome is this? The first 2 tries that they scored, we're not going to look at that. What was it? Paiva dos Santos scoring 2. But you're 75 minutes into a game. skill set, cross kick.
It was a double cross kick that
Yeah.
one. 'Cause
Yeah,
it was cross kick.
cross
it was
kick, cross
on
kick.
penalty advantage. Cross kick there, got it back, cross kick the other side.
And I mean, they want to play with tempo, and they obviously have got a skill set that's outstanding. Their passes, the offloads were amazing. They couldn't quite. There we go into the.
That's a penalty
that was
advantage,
the cross kick in the first one. Ended up in a yellow card for Kwan Horn. Can't argue that. That's yellow card, tackling a guy in the air. But they want to play with pace. And we've got Simon Mannix, a player we used to watch, John, we were giving away our age when we were younger. New Zealand wants to play, wants to attack, wants to have this linked up way of play and style. And they can put you under pressure. They put us under pressure. Their transition play, the first try was outstanding when we made a mistake. So yeah, it's exciting to watch. And like I like it that they've got a point of difference. You know, their point of difference is their style, their tempo, how many passes they can string together.
Because our guys played for spots in the touring group, you know, to eventually get to the starting spot.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were playing for professional contracts, a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, I would say, you know, being on the the highest level, playing against the world champions. Thank you very much, guys. World champions as well.
Thank you, guys.
So
Thanks,
needed.
guys.
Thank you, man.
Some coffee. And what do we have today? Droewors.
The droewors.
A Portuguese droewors.
A chorizo.
You know, they were playing for contracts as well. The big talking points in this game, we saw the previous clip, Kwan Horn, yellow card. We had 3 cards for South Africa. I think that third one was clear and obvious. That's a yellow card. Happy with that decision. This is the big talking point. Great opportunity for Andre Esteizer. In this game, we see the tackle. Initially, I thought, okay, big hit. You know, it's a tackle.
Hit the ground,
it's a tackle to the shoulder, first contact to the shoulder, then the heads connect. And even if you look here in slow motion, so I still feel that the initial contact is chest on shoulder.
100%.
And then the connect.
That's unfortunate just for me, a rugby collision.
For me, yellow at best.
And yellow at best. He hits him with, obviously, chest on his shoulder. The one thing is that he just gets his head on the wrong side. He gets his head in front of the player. If his head was behind the player, there was no head contact. It would go down like a proper good hit, and the play will continue. So I thought yellow card, because there's mitigating circumstances both ways. You know, the carrier was going down. You can see Andre Esteizer does make a little dip in an effort. His head's on the wrong side. And it's not like he follows through or it's a nasty collision. So for me, you know, what you see in the previous 2 weeks, that's a yellow card, and then you go to this, and this goes up to a red card. We're starting to walk that line of inconsistency, because is this now what red card constitutes? Or do we have mitigation where that is yellow, it's good enough for me?
For me, what's worrying, imagine that was us against Ireland or the All Black game, or, you know, I know it's Portugal, and with all due respect, this didn't really make a material difference. But if that's the All Black game at Ellis Park or in Cape Town, that happens now.
Minutes.
That's front page news. What the hell's going on with rugby, whatever it is. But for me, at yellow at best, Sean, at best there.
So, obviously the reason for this is the safety of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. When they want to get out the game, the straight up tackle where 2 guys straight up hitting each other, and then there's head clashes, because those are the most situations where you get concussion and obviously everything that goes with that, and that's the risk that we want out of rugby. So you started at red, then you work yourself down in terms of mitigation. Mitigation being quite a few things: changing of levels, impact of the contact, where does he hit first, etc., etc. And to me, there's just a lot of mitigation in that situation.
100%.
There was a bend in the hips from Andre Esteizer. He did go lower. I mean, already you can see there's a lower
Ball carrier is down.
Ball carrier is lower as well.
First point of contact is not head.
It's not head.
It's a chest.
It's chest on shoulder. You know, and unfortunate, and obviously, again, like I said, it's the safety of the players that's important. Don't want another guy to get injured, especially not a concussion. But it just feels to me that to have all that mitigation and still you remain on red.
Yeah. I mean,
How do you get it down?
For me, it's all about, you know, players' behaviour has got to change. And I think that's where, you know, the crock roll with Kirtley,
Yeah, so
That's a behaviour-
we can go straight into this because
That's
this
a
is the
behaviour
second
that
one.
we want to change, because we saw Malcolm Marx break his leg like that. But for me, there's no real force in this situation. Like Kirtley does get into a crock-roll situation. We want to change. We want the crock-roll out the game because of the
You've got to look
extent
at
of players'
yeah.
injuries.
Because the issue, the leg there, Scala.
And as the issue is your leg and then where you tilt your body to. So you put your body behind his leg and then you twist the body where the knee, ankle, leg can break. So you want to change the crock roll. It's something we want to change. Same to the neck roll that has become less of an influence in our game. But there's no force in this situation.
Yeah, you have far less force at least. In terms of changing behavior, you rather want so what we want, you want him. So his height is losing the
shoulder battle,
there,
yeah.
the shoulder battle to get his height right.
Yeah.
You want him to be a little bit lower, and then you want him to work. Wait, I touched it there. Straight through rather than going to the side.
You want to target the space between the ball
Yeah.
and the players where his arms are. You want to target his arms. I think it's underrated skills where people want to move the body instead of getting the arms. There, if Kirtley hits his arms, he's off the ball anyway. And then you throw yourself to the side.
See, the difficult thing there is on a line break, especially when you go that low. Chances are you're going to go off your feet and dive in there. If you make head contact, then it's another discussion because it's head on head.
Yeah.
The easiest thing, I think, is the ball carrier. Once you make a line break and you feel you got that threat, rather roll the ball out, Scala, and get it away from the contact area. Because I can see what happened. If that's Achia Sneeman or a big forward coming in there and he goes in with a proper clean, that Portuguese guy is still rolling down to Cape Town.
So
and it's another card, I promise you.
So that begs the question. In this situation, okay, head down, your target area is like minute.
Your margin for error is zero.
Yeah.
And also, like, you could see where Kirtley was running, was almost looking like if our South African player, I don't know who's on the deck there, gets past and he can get the offload, you're almost running that, that looking for the offload off the deck line. So you've overrun it already. Then the ruck forms. Then you're compromised on your angle coming in anyway. So you're probably going to hit him from the side or on an angle.
Yeah,
and like again, for me,
if we
watch 20 rucks on the weekend, we're going to find this situation 15 times. And, a yellow card for me, it's a big call here. But again, as I said in my opening statement, the player's behavior has got to change. But there's nothing wrong or malice intended in injuring the Portuguese player in this scenario.
Yeah, you can just see he's lost the battle. The only other way is to roll him to the side.
To roll him to the side. And that is usually the case where lose the battle.
I suppose the issue is when a stud gets stuck or whatever, and then someone else comes in. That's when the knee goes, and that's where the problem lies.
Oh, gosh! Come, close the door, close the door. Come.
Hey! It's me, your car.
Wait, what?
Guys, you know I love you. Half of you were made on my back seat. This goes for me as well. We've been on holiday together. Chrissy, your first kiss was in my boot.
What?
Sorry, I didn't know that was a secret. But there's 9 of you now. Small one, I've stopped learning the names. You're slamming my doors like a teenager. Jaden, milkshake. 2 hands. Number 5, elbows.
Sorry.
Every morning I get stuffed like a Christmas chicken. Guys, sell me to We Buy Cars. Get yourself a nice combi. Let me start over with a new family. No, don't cry. Here come the wipers.
Time for a change? It's as simple as We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Now, we spoke about, new team, lots of new players, and this kind of summed up the start of the game. Just no cohesion. Whereas in the past we would know what's happening, guys know exactly what their jobs are, and that was a good reflection for me of what the pressure the team was under. I mean, you're 17 minutes into a test match against Portugal, you're 5-7 down, and obviously one player down as well. And at one stage now we see 2 players down.
Yeah.
The compounding effect was also, we saw this call, so we scored a couple of tries after that, but we saw this call.
Here come the Portuguese,
and here comes the Portuguese, because this could have been a significant difference to obviously the scoreboard, etc. Your views on this one? Not your view. So no cohesion within the squad. You 2 down here. And then this call, so South Africa was able to claw themselves back a little bit into the game. But then this call was quite a significant one. 6 minutes to go before the end of the half, and they call obstruction. Views on this?
Look, when I watched it live initially, I thought hometown decision. Then you watch it again from the back view. And Elges Snyman does get checked, I think, by the big prop. He gets knocked over again.
That's exactly it.
But I thought, here we go, Scala, the Portuguese, just before halftime, they're coming in for a run. They're getting in the scuffles. We're getting, off the ball stuff here. They're getting under, in between us. Look, it is the right call because Snyman does get checked there.
Yeah, and he was in a position to make the tackle. So sometimes these calls gets made, but the player's in no position to tackle. But you can see Elges Snyman there, and you can see the long head prop right in the middle of your screen there, John. And he does do a very good job at just stepping back and changing Elges Snyman's mate as he's trying to adjust to get to their little winger. On first sight, it didn't look like much, but then you look at back and you can just see he does compromise Elges Snyman's tackling ability there.
So
yeah, you just got to go a little bit back, but
this area here is the gap that gets created.
I mean, there was a bit of feeling in this game too. You saw Elges Snyman, what did they call it? The full chicken and the four Portuguese rolls. Keeping four of them busy. Yeah, again, there was a bit of a scuffle straight after the line break and try. And so often this would go amiss, from a refereeing panel. And it was a good pickup.
Boom, just there, just a bit of a
just
shoulder.
Bumped him out the way.
But I must say, I enjoyed the Portuguese attitude, even with the scuffles, Scala, rightly so. They weren't standing back. If one South African guy pushed, they all ran and climbed in, sort of showing a bit of fight and aggression. Look, you're not going to run over us.
And what an opportunity, What an opportunity for Portugal to come to Bloemfontein. And we've got to give compliments to the crowd. How many people were there? I mean, it looked like a sellout. There was 45,000 people or so. What a turnout for Bloemfontein.
Yeah, it's like when we used to play for Free State. Or I used to.
With
Same
you,
crowd.
Blockbuster every weekend when you play.
Os used to run behind me.
But I remember
I'd run
playing
out first and then
Free
Os behind me, don't worry.
Okay, so tactics.
Yeah.
Young team, new captain. The cohesion is not really there. A lot of debutants, a lot of nerves. You're in a tight battle, and this is now deep into the game already. Early on in the game, we saw that when we were 13 down, we were still going hard off the line, sticking to kind of the normal game plan. But then we saw them adapt initially late on in the game because of the situation. Do you think that was basically a coaching change?
Yeah,
or is this the evolution of the team being able to learn on the go?
I think as they brought subs on in halftime and they had a chat about how they're going to go about defending with numbers down, you could see us just using the touchline as a safety net.
Almost like a 7's D.
Yeah, 7's D.
Far softer defense.
Great option by Portugal because they would realize that your 15's got to close sooner. You've got to be empty at the back, kick it back. Force my pimps into an error, but also I think we can play around. If our scrum is so dominant and strong,
that's a good idea.
I think we can compromise the scrum, drop a number, especially when you think we in trouble. Get a loose forward to stand on 10, and then still have a soft defense. Don't force your loose forward to go hard at it and compromise, but at least you've got numbers up.
So those are from a tactics point of view, and hopefully, the youngsters would have learned from that, being able to adapt on the go. Let's now go into the actual players that got the opportunities, and especially those making their debuts. The first one, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, we see his try here, nice work by Elges Snyman. He was, I think, exactly what makes him good, ball in hand. As a loose head, I mean, if you have a loose head like that with ball in hand, that is fantastic. Is loose head his position though? And even from a scrummaging point of view, did he pass the test? Or was the test not that big in this game?
I don't think the test was that big. For me, he's always played hooker.
Yeah.
I think he played loose head prop for the Bulls against they played the Griffins.
Yeah.
Last weekend. He hasn't have enough minutes for me at loose head prop. At hooker, he does. But his point of difference, I think if you had to watch him playing touch rugby, you don't know whether he's a prop or a centre or not, because he's so good and explosive.
You'll see him pop up in a lot of these clips, running
Yeah.
supporting lines, running lines like you're like hooker. You know, Johan Grobelaar moves well, we know that. But same Jan-Hendrik Wessels. But like we've got to appreciate how good that is from RG Snyman, riding the contact, having the presence of mind just to have such soft skills. You know, so often people try and force or emulate that. And they don't have the touch for it, you know. They drop the ball, or the ball goes flying, and you put the next runner under so much pressure. And you'll see as these clips roll through, Jan-Hendrik Wessels on support lines, Ben Jason Dixon's work rate, and then also RG Snyman's touches on the gain line was incredible.
And Jan-Hendrik Wessels, the thing with him is, remember when I think he went to France and then COVID, and he came back to the Bulls. Jake he's the next Osturant. And then he was meant to be John Smith at some stage in terms of hooker. He's going to have to find a place where because otherwise he's always going to be a squad player where, you know, you can use him at loose head or use him at hooker. He's going to have to find a place where he can actually fire from.
And Shimi, that's your area of speciality, but you're either going to be a loose head or you're going to be a hooker. There's no chance of being both.
Look, the scrum challenge will come. If
I wouldn't know. I'm just looking at you.
Look, he's from an athletic point of view. I mean, he carries, he runs, he cleans, he does everything,
athlete.
and he's good enough as an athlete for me. If you give me enough time, at least at prop, to become a dominant, aggressive scrummer. But whether he's going to be given the time or not is another question, you know. And that's what we need to, because it was Aka and Probies, the two Bulls hookers, and he was third choice, even out the mix at the stage. So where does he sit there though? That's another thing.
And we'll get to the hookers later on and cover Johan Grobelaar and Andre Geventer, because that's the challenge you sit with at the Bulls. Jan-Hendrik Wessels is playing hooker there at the moment. He's probably behind Johan Grobelaar now, and Grob is probably establishing himself as the third choice for the box. Steenekamp there as a loose head for the Bulls. So it's a difficult one. We talk about the future. Let's just celebrate the return of the weekend special.
Here we go.
Okay, I think he is back to his best. So talented. And again, he showed it again in this test match. But even more so, Makazole Mapimpi, hat-trick try. He's been put under pressure, you know,
just through the
quality in 2019.
Quality of other wingers we've got,
started 2019 final, World Cup final. Yes, you have Kurtley Aronson, Chesnut Colby now, and loads of other wingers, but this guy is not going away. He's going up the ranks in the try-scoring ability.
He's chasing you.
He's not chasing you.
Well, like he just didn't overtake you. Like he went like he gapped you on the weekend.
Yeah,
he went to 30 tries on the weekend.
But how's this?
That's amazing by Fassi.
Pure class. This is Kurtley Aronson scoring. But on the other side, and we're not even going to show them Mapimpi tries. Unbelievable winger. Unbelievable outside backs that we have in South Africa at the moment. And we've just got so much to choose from.
Yeah, like Fassi's a player that came on the scene and we all loved his attacking flair, and we absolutely loved everything about him. And then obviously a few things started to rear its head, like, you know, whether it was error rate, whether it was his defence. And he's gone back and he had to put in hours, had to play a lot of rugby games, sort himself out, and he's come back and he hasn't lost that attacking flair. If anything, I think his decision-making's got a lot better. And we saw at the Sharks, once the Sharks started playing a bit better rugby, he was one of the main catalysts thereof. You know, he was outstanding for the Sharks in the second half of the season.
He just, if you know, Mapimpi is just, for me, it seems like he's just such a great guy to have in your squad. You know, to have in your squad, he kind of, he pushes culture in a way. He brings a sense of, I don't know what it is, even to say exactly what it, but he just brings that togetherness that the Springboks is all about. And the fight that he constantly shows is just, you know, that is what Springbok rugby is about. I think there's a good reason why Fassi was also so good. Having a guy like Mapimpi who's now stepped into that senior role, taking more responsibility, etc., etc.
But John, you never see Mapimpi have a bad game.
No.
I can't think of a game. Yeah. I don't think he's that far. If you're behind any of the starting, and let's say the guys that played against Ireland, Mapimpi is not that far. What I like about Fassi is young players will make mistakes, but the ability to recover and come back is where the question mark comes. And I think he's gone through that sort of start superstar, gone through that dip, and now he's back now. A bit more mature, still a great player, but he was king at the Sharks when they were top of Super Rugby before COVID. He was the guy at the back there in Super Rugby, you know, ripping it up apart, and he's doing exactly the same now.
I think players like that's better for it. They understand their own game better. They understand when to have a go, when not to have a go. You know, like, you know, the learning process has happened. It was hard for him. He's come back, picked himself up, and he's still playing in South Africa. Because so often we lose these players when something like that happens. But Mapimpi is a finisher, you know, like unlike Chesy and Kirtley, who's got a different skill set. He sniffs out tries, and his record shows that.
But Kirtley as well. Kirtley's try-scoring record is pretty much on par. He's learned from what.
He's next to go past you, John.
From what
There's a lot there, boy.
From what Mapimpi has done, and great try there by Kirtley as well. Jason Dixon, hell of a game. He has a bit of a package in his try that he scored as well. Is he the clear favourite now to follow up Pieter-Steph du Toit,
Yes,
if not available?
Yeah, in my opinion, definitely. He quietly goes on about his work. Scala, there's no rah-rah around him. You don't hear a lot about him, but he just gets on with it. Even if you look at during URC, a hard tackler, works hard. But for me, I know Orkes Neyman had a good game, but he was my man of the match for this weekend. I thought he should have gotten man of the match, but that's a debate. That's another debate to have. But
you know, like
beautiful team try. He finished off, but beautiful.
Yeah, and you saw Jan Hendrik Wessels on the inside shoulder after the line break by Mani Libbok. But it's the stuff you don't see with him and Pieter-Steph du Toit. And I think nothing epitomizes his work rate more than this. Turnover, Kirtley gets reeled in here by some serious gas.
But
when this breakdown happens, look who's first there.
Yeah.
Here we go. Jason Dixon. There we go. Over the ball. Pepsi Buthelezi, is it on his right there? No?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, Pepsi.
Pepsi, look on your arm,
I mean, that's work rate. And then if you play this through, because now the Boks going to their 22 defense, it's not just having ran 80 meters to get to the first clean. You'll see him feature again. There's Makazole, Mapimpi, getting a close carry, not his favorite spot. Evan Roos, round the corner, who's up for it? Jason Dixon. And I think this work rate, and an appetite for work is what Pieter-Steph brings every week, and he's got the ability to do that.
Because that ruck that we saw with the Kirtley breakout, I mean, if he's not there, it's the same as chasing down. Yeah, it's the same as chasing down kicks. If he's not there, then you say, the guys couldn't get there.
Yeah.
It was a total break. The fact that he's there, puts us in a position to have almost a 90-meter swing.
Yeah. For me, Scala, I mean, you might add in here, but I haven't seen a great loose forward without an engine.
Yeah.
There's very few that you don't find that can't. You need to be able to run and maintain it for a good 80 minutes at the same level. And that's what BJ Dixon, that's for me, as a loose forward, it's a point of entry. You look at all the great loose forwards, good loose forwards. These guys, you need big boys, but you need to be able to shift that weight. And that's what he can do.
And look, he's got an appetite for work. And I think that's what we demand. You take it back in our era when we had Juan Smith, and we're not comparing Jason Dixon with Juan Smith, but Juan Smith had an appetite to work. Get stuck in. Pieter-Steph, same mentality. And that's what I've got to be asked of if you play blindside flank for the Boks. That's your primary focus.
I remember even when I was still in Free State, Andre Fenter, when John Smith was...
How many times are you going to mention that now? You
just a bloom. Andre Fenter, but also same thing. Appetite. Always doing extras in terms of fitness,
and he was an
big boy with an engine.
He was an absolute machine.
Yeah, absolute machine.
Other loose forwards in this game, Pepsi Buthelezi getting the opportunity, blindside flank, is that his position? Or is it more of an 8? How did he go?
I would say, if you ask him what's his favourite position, I reckon he'll go 8, Pepsi. It's more of your roaming. He's got a decent feel for the game. He wants to put his hand up and carry. The problem the problem at open side flanker especially is you probably, for a guy like Pepsi, will feel overworked. You'll run yourself and lose a lot of what makes him special, and that's carrying the ball, having a little soft skill set. Evan Roos got to start at 8 and was busy enough, like with Evan, I think the thing that lets him down sometimes is just his skill set and error rate. He has got that in his game. There's nothing wrong with his desire,
Attitude of note. He wants to get stuck in. He wants to
get
work,
stuck
yeah.
in, yeah.
Ruan Venter. Ruan Venter covering lock slash flank. I mean, could he step up in the big games as a lock forward, or is it probably a little bit too short for an international lock? Rather have him on a blind side flank.
Depends what
carrier.
Yeah.
What the makeup of the other. Look, generally in South Africa we've got very big locks. The rest of the world, he's probably a lock in,
He's a lock in
any other team. So for me, I've always liked him as a player, but he doesn't have good repeat effort. I'd like to see him, if he can maintain. We talk about the intensity, even whether he's at lock or like a Franco Moster's got an engine that will go all day. For me, Ruan Venter, power yes, impact yes, but can you repeat it 9 out of 10 times?
And
is the big question mark. He's a big boy.
He didn't have the opportunities yesterday to show that, because that's exactly for me. You know, good carrier, physical carrier, big tackler, etc. You know, can you replicate that at international level when the guys are just as big, just as strong? And he probably didn't get the opportunity yesterday.
Yeah, it's always hard coming off the bench, but like you know, for him, just getting an opportunity to play your first test, I mean, it's a massive occasion, and you know that you're on the radar. And I think a lot of these players, the comfort of spending time in Russie's system, getting your first cap under the belt. You know, I think, this is a 4-year project, and some of these guys will really kick on from this performance. Some of them will, stall. Some of them will fall by the wayside. But when we look at his highlights reel on YouTube, he's got absolute power, and that power is a nice thing to have in your armory.
Power, armory, skill set. This is certainly one guy that is using every opportunity he's getting. It's not the Mapimpi try we're going to look at. Well, it is the try, but the focus is going to be on Sacha here. Again, a bit of magic here. The attacking threat, the right decision, skill set to get him away.
I mean, he gets the ball in that same position a couple of phases later. Let's celebrate the return of the torpedo. The torpedo 50-22. We haven't seen one of them in ages.
Just let the clip play through. But let's talk through this first.
That is
special.
Yeah.
That's
looks
special.
up, loose forward in front of him, slower guy. Take him. That's every forward's nightmare. You look up there's a quicker guy there.
Damian Willemse like?
Yeah.
I mean, that little skip around and ball show looks so much like Damian.
You look at this, and okay, Sacha came on as a fullback last week. Before we get to this kick. But if you go Damian Willemse, Willie Leroux, fussy starting at fullback, and then Sacha, all four being able to cover fullback, our depth is certainly there. And then when you move him to Flyhalf, you have Andre Pollard, Mani Lerbach, Sacha, and then still Jordan and Asiya Masuku.
The impressive thing on the weekend was, like, obviously he came on at 10. Mani was really good attacking wise in this game. That suits you. He takes you to the game line. You saw the little break that led to Jason Dixon's try with a little offload on the inside. Sacha came on. Mani's goal kicking wasn't great on the weekend. His goal kicking was exceptional. Not only that, his management through his boot, because it's so easy for a player like him to get overexcited, overplay his hand. He's just forced a try. He calls that
just outside his 22.
Just outside his 22. Gets the mighty torpedo out, 50-22.
Obviously, you don't do that in Durban.
Proper game.
But Highveld.
proper game management. That's incredible.
And Rassie just saying, no, he called it. No, he called it. Tony Brown also very happy with that. But that's, just the...
He's making all the right moves for a guy that started.
Understanding where you are at in the game, and then making the right decisions, based on that. So Sacha, I mean, where do you see him best position?
Well, Damian, we don't know how far Damian's from returning. I think he's made it quite clear, Sacha, I think that he wants to play fly half.
Yeah.
But for this season, he's our utility back.
I still like him at 12, Jean, for some reason. I like because he's got the brute and he's got the passing skills. He's not scared of the physical stuff.
Like we saw last weekend with Sacha, a young player, talented player, can overplay his hand. Last weekend, couple of errors by the end of the game. We've got to have that growth with him because, this is a project. It's 4 years, but he is so talented. And I'd like to see him, fulfill a multi-purpose role for the Boks this year. But I wouldn't mind seeing him having a start at 10 during this season.
And it's
Yeah.
probably the same as Jan Hendrik Wessels, where eventually you need to decide this is the position I want to play and this is where I want to stake my
Yeah.
claim.
Yeah.
In
But
that, yes?
Yeah, so you remember also Willemse was also a young, talented guy that
Yeah.
played Flyhalf at 19 for Western Province.
Yeah.
He moved to
Yes.
fullback. Rob Dupree was a more pragmatic sort of player who could
Yeah.
play the game management, and Willemse could sort of do it from the back, and it worked well for him. So, you know, at this stage, Sacha hasn't gotten a lot of game time at URC, even at 10.
At 10, yeah.
For me, like, I'd like to see him there first, get a run
Control
there with
the
him and
game.
Moni, control a game,
Start,
do all the
yeah.
things, the basic things. That's why I like him at 12, because at 12, Jean, you know, you got to make you sort of the eyes of the 10. Also,
Yeah.
you can see
Yeah.
out wide, you can put guys
Yeah.
into space, and physically, he's not shy. He likes tackling and the physical stuff.
We know Marnie's kicking wasn't great at goal yesterday.
Yeah.
His game though, he just looks so comfortable on the ball,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah,
he?
it's
He
proper
just
on
You
the
see
you know,
that
in
outside
control,
break when he
just
goes
runs so
and everything.
nicely.
Yeah, I like Moni at 10, and he just makes the other guys outside him look great. Whereas
Yeah.
you don't want to fly off trying to be the superstar himself. Moni can grab that ball, cross kick for this guy, look for passes here, short here, bring the forwards into the game.
I mean, his X factor is how brave he is on an attack. He makes the big calls. He strings the passes together, but he's a real threat in attack. The way he moves, you know, like sort of glides into awesome spaces. So it was lovely to see Mani getting a start again.
One of the youngsters also that got the opportunity at fullback. You talk about taking on the space, gliding on the outside. He had a mixed bag, Kieran Horn. You know, yellow card, try on debut, didn't get a lot of time. One for the future.
Yeah. From
But then again, where is he in the pecking order?
Yeah,
Where is
like we've just mentioned 5 fullbacks, and
Yeah.
Quan Horn puts his hand up, loves the little ball through the legs, and there's proper skill set. Eh? Nice and simple, John. Create the one-on-one, back yourself to scoot around him. But we saw him in URC score some amazing tries for the Lions, and he's got some gas. Unfortunately, you got the yellow card. These things happen. Mistime the contestable cross kick, but. Yeah, it's hard. You know, he's such a good player, but you look at the aforementioned players, and you can't see him featuring again this year in a test match.
How lekker is it though? Debut, come on as a substitute,
And score a try. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad. The next guy we're going to speak about, a little bit extra for him in this. I think I saw the stat, the 16th son and dad Springbok combination to play for the Boks in Bloem, where he grew up with his dad in the stands. How did he go, Andre Gevente?
No, I thought he went. Look, the thing with Andre Yuko, he's one of these guys. You could put him at loose forward because he's got the mobility. But what's most impressive for me is that he's played most of URC off the bench.
Yeah.
And he's had such a big impact that he's made it into the Springbok squad. You think he didn't get many starts during this because obviously Dweber is strong as scrum or whatever, but this guy's worked on his game pretty hard. But he's got good work ethic, he's competitive. And he's one of those guys, I remember when he played Varsity Cup and the guys were like, bring this guy straight into the Curry Cup mix, didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the scrumming stuff you got to work on and fix that, and he's worked pretty hard on that. But for me, as an impact player, as a player that just makes a difference when he comes on, he's phenomenal. Good in the loose, throws in well, scrums well, tackles hard. And he's a hooker that can make a difference when he comes on the field.
He's got proper fight. You see him often with the Stormers. Come in hard times when he enters the field. Stormers under pressure. He lifts the energy and the physicality in that team. And I like that fight, you know.
And we obviously in this game, we focus more on the ball and play, tries being scored, etc. His basic skills, though, scrummaging, lineouts. I mean, we
very
had a perfect lineout performance for the Boks throughout. And then let's move to the starter of the game at hooker, Johan Grobler. Solid game from him as well. We saw in some of those clips, nice soft touches, you know, getting the passes away. I thought, you know, in the loose also, he did what was expected of him. Scrummaging, good. Lineouts, 100% record.
I'm a big fan, you know, the way he moves around the field. When he plays for the Bulls, he's exceptional on the ground as well. He's really good. I mean, he made one cover tackle on the weekend where, you know, we're skimmed and
he was with the wings.
He was catching the wing on the side. And like, he sometimes reminds me of Schalk Burger, the way he moves in the game. I'm a big fan of him. And he's been in the Springbok setup for a long, long time. At 2021, when we played the Lions, he was in that wider group. You know, he was there. So it's taken him a while to get a test start. But yeah, it's great to see him playing for the Boks.
I know he's also gotten a bit bigger. I think Jake said, listen, we need you to for an international hooker to get. So you can see physically he's gotten a bit bigger. But I remember he was at Paul Gym. I remember watching him at school, and he went up to Pretoria, and you sort of follow this guy closely. But he's definitely got it. URC final, he was very good.
Yeah, exceptional.
He was very, very good in that URC final. So definitely there. Again, it's just time with Malcolm Marks. I'm not sure how long he's injured for. Here's a guy, if Wongi comes off, this guy comes on, you know, not probably physically not as big as Malcolm, but on the ground mobility, line out throwing and all that.
He brings something different.
Is he the clear third choice now for the Boks at hooker?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I would say so.
You mentioned he went to Paul Gym. We didn't. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying.
You're
kicking me under the table here.
I'm just saying you mentioned it.
Guys, doing a function in Pulse, you know, got to get, you know.
We need to sell more tickets for that. Eh? We need to sell tables, guys.
Paul Gym, he's a great
on the
joke,
30th of July. Shimmy and Schalk, your honest and final verdict on the Boks performance against Portugal.
I forgot about that call,
Over to you guys.
I'll go first, I think. I'll go for an 8, just taking account the
8.
Yeah, that I was thinking.
Okay.
Just for the amount of changes. And we've all been in a team where you play one team the 1 week and then you change the whole 23 pretty much for the following week. And how tricky it can be. You know, we could have easily started through this game and still scored 40 points. But we actually had some proper intent around a tough start to it with obviously the red card. Once we adjust to the fact that we're playing with 14 men, I think all these youngsters in their first game showed, like, you know, their selection was validated.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with Scala there. The big thing for me is it was one of those games, Scala, you play Springboks clear favourites.
Yeah.
They were never going to lose. You know, you look at the performance, I thought it was scrappy at times purely because of having a yellow card. Did they adapt? Yes. Was the effort there? Yes. You look at the youngsters that came, and I think all of them scored a try. The work ethic outside the board, sometimes over-eager. I think I remember the one in the 22 meter, I think 5 forwards came around the corner because they all wanted the ball.
Yeah, Salman coughed it up.
Yeah, there's so many guys. So the effort and the intensity was there. You know, it's still a big score, 10 tries scored with a man down, sometimes down to 13 men. New captain, so much new in it. Guy that played hooker playing loose head, a lock on the bench that played flank. So I'd definitely 8. For me, good performance. These guys will be happy with it. But the work ethic and the work off the ball, the things that people don't see, I think that's where the guys get the pass mark from.
So 8 out of 10, taking into consideration all the challenges that they had, new
captain.
squad. There's so many, new captain. Congratulations to Salman Murat for being,
Paul boys, also from Paul.
There was 5 of them. We won't mention there was 5 of them on the field.
Five
Paul,
boys, guys in that.
And mention the grey guys also, just, you know.
And the grey guys, and all the other schools that were represented in the Springbok team for the weekend. We knew that it would be difficult, that the cohesion wouldn't be there, but it's opportunities, it's looking at the future, and an 8 out of 10, the verdict from us for that performance. That's not just based on the way that they played, but taking into consideration everything that went into this game. We didn't even mention Ntunu and the way that he played, the opportunity again. You know, probably not that many opportunities to carry, as we know that he does well. But
the crowd gets a 10 out of 10.
The crowd gets a 10 out of 10. Thomas du Toit, we didn't touch on enough. Salman Murat, we even didn't. But again, those guys are almost now established in that environment and celebrating the future of South African rugby. That's it from us for this weekend. Next up, we will be talking to you about the performance of the Boks against the resurgent Wallabies. I'm not totally sold on how good the Wallabies are yet, but we have struggled in Brisbane in the past, and hopefully it's not a stumbling Boks against the Wallabies, but rather wobbly Wallabies in that game. That's when we will be back for the verdict. We'd love to hear more about your opinion and ideas and who you like in this series against Ireland and also against Portugal. Send us your questions, send us your opinions, etc., etc. Visit all our channels on social media. Subscribe. Do whatever you have to do on social media.
Buy
if you're watching us. Buy a car if you want. Get some nice spices from Freddie Hirsch and Freddie's legacy. But most importantly, enjoy your rugby. Play it fair. Play it clean. And support the Bokke. And now is when I don't know what to say anymore. And we just finish it off right there. Until next time. Cheers.
Tot ziens. Let's go.
Cheers, guys.
Well done.